I'm very sorry for being late. Peter is kind enough to show that these panels, outlook. And today's topic is the peace, the Jeju process and multilateral security cooperation in East Asia. And as you have heard Prime Minister's remarks, in fact, when Prime Minister was Foreign Minister under the Kim Dae-jung government, he convened this Jeju Peace Forum, and he gave a luncheon speech during the period of time, and he really emphasized and opened a new vision for multilateral security cooperation regime in Northeast Asia. And 2 years ago, we had a fourth Jeju Peace Forum in this hotel, Beach Hotel, and we adopted a document emphasizing the beginning of Jeju peace process or Jeju process. Of course, when we talk about Jeju process, we're talking about the Helsinki process. Where can we apply the Helsinki process to Northeast Asia? And we come up with several documents, and Jeju Peace Institute has engaged in a series of research on that subject. Therefore, I think it's very timely, holding up this the panel, so that this panel can give us some new ideas and insights and new directions for fostering Jeju process. Here we have a really wonderful panelist here. In my right side is Peter Hayes. He's a founder, the co-founder with his wife, the Nautilus Institute. Now has become one of the most leading research institute and epistemic networks in Asia Pacific on sustainable development, North Korean nuclear issues, energy, environment, and whatever. Therefore, in other words, Nautilus Institute can be wonderful, companion to the green growth idea of Lee Myung-bak government. And he got his PhD from University of California, Berkeley in resource economics. And my left side, Timo, he's Finn, but working at the NIAS, Nordic Institute of Asian Studies. And Timo has made a lot of research contribution in the area of domestic political violence and conflict in Indonesia and some of the Southeast Asian countries. So he has published quite extensively. Okay, but by definition, Helsinki process was undertaken in Finland, and we happen to invite Finn here so that he can give some interesting idea on that. And then the right side of Peter Hayes is Oh-jun, Ambassador Oh-jun. He was ambassador to the United Nations and deputy permanent representative of Korea to the United Nations. He's now deputy minister for multilateral and global affairs. And he studied at Seoul National University and Stanford University and London School of Economics, all the good names. Okay? And his younger brother, who is here, he's also Chief Protocol Office to Prime Minister. Therefore, both brothers are so powerful in Korean government. Okay. And then my far left side, General Pan Jang-chun. He is a retired Major General from PLA. Okay. I have never seen any Chinese, Korean, Japanese ex-general who speaks such a fluent English with such an analytic clarity and with rich historical insights. And he was also director. He was a director of Institute for is it defense strategy or military strategy? Strategic studies at National Defense University of People's Republic of China. And I would say that, and he's also the vice chairman of Chinese Foundation for International Relations. And I would say that General Pan is most, not one of, but the most respected so-called retired military general with a very strong scholarly background. Therefore, even though he was a general, he thinks, writes, and speaks in purely scholarly manner. And he never studied abroad, but his English is better than just native English speaker. I'm very happy. And also he's a very busy person, but I'm very grateful that he can show up. And also Faf's right side is very un-Confucian. It's anti-Confucian seat arrangement. Two most senior people are sitting in the marginal areas. You got to understand that one nowadays, Confucian teachings are often being forgotten in this. Ambassador Tanino was a minister to Japanese embassy in Seoul, and then he was a Japanese ambassador to India, and also he was an ambassador to China. And he is one of the closest friends and advisor of former Prime Minister Fukuda. Okay, I understand he came from the Gunmaken, and also he got his bachelor from Faculty of Law of University of Tokyo. Therefore, likewise, we have a really outstanding policymakers and scholars. Therefore, it is very lucky for us to have such a persons. But since Ambassador Tanino and the General Pan are being situated in the far left and right, okay, it would be fair for me to start with Ambassador Tanino, and then we'll come back to General Pan, and then Timo and Peter, you'll have you'll be very low ranking in terms of priority, and also in terms of overall moderation of the session, I will give 7 minutes each, so that we can have more discussions. Okay, 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, I know that. And then we'll have just open debates. Okay, it's just what you call the Davos style, and I happen to be an attendee of the Davos Forum for the past 2 years. Therefore, I hope you understand that one. And I know that General Pan wrote about the 7 pages, single space, but it won't be easy for you to digest in 5 to 7 minutes. But since you're expert and you're professional, okay, voila, Ambassador Tanino.
Up and so anyway, thank you very much indeed, Dr. Moon, and thank you for inviting me to this very important forum, Jeju Peace Forum. This is indeed the third time for me to come to Jeju, and in fact, I'm coming back next month also. For for better occasion, no serious talk. I come here with my friends to play golf, 2 days. So anyway, thank you very much for this occasion. 5 minutes, give me 10 minutes. Just of my presentation is, you have this small booklet, page, I think it was 70, the outline of my presentation. I'm not scholar, so whatever I'm going to talk is not analytic, far from that, not in a systematic way, but pardon me in advance. Now, talking about golf, East Asia today, we have 2 kinds of winds blowing. You play golf, many of you. There are follow winds, also headwinds. We call it against the winds. Now, let's start with against East Asia. I talk about a little bit about global recession. I'm angry because I'm angry. And I take up this because this is, security is inseparable from economic. And so this is the most important immediate issue. Because of the time limit, I only talk about, as Moon said, I was based in India. Mahatma Gandhi said this. It's written in my paper. Wealth without sweat is a social sin. Commerce without morality is also a social sin. I want to take this to, and I remember Sun Yat-sen made a somewhat similar remark. I want to take these remarks made by Asian Oriental saint to those financial genius at Wall Street, manufacturing fake goods, fake commodities, and this was the start. And it was beginning to hurt our part of the economy, real economy. So I'm very angry. After all, manufacturing, in my strong view, agriculture as well, industry, manufacturing industry, supported by constant innovation, is indeed a strong point, lifeline of East Asia's economy. Financial world has to go back, return to its original role of supporting the real economy. Although my knowledge about financial world is very much limited, but nevertheless I'm increasing angry to observe what is going on today. You know, Obama said greedy, these guys. Upon exiting, after the failure, upon leaving, the those CEO wanted to get hold of big chunk of money as a bonus. This is what Obama said, termed greedy. And I totally share with his sentiment. So financial world affecting our real economy. But our strength is manufacturing industries, agriculture, also of course, good service. Service industry of good quality has to come with it. Secondary, against headwinds, North Korea. This has been much talked about yesterday and also today, so I'm not going to reiterate whatever has been said in the 2 days today. My big question is, Don Gregg there, he's a frequent visitor to Pyongyang. DPRK, North Korea, what is the ultimate intention? We don't know. Will it give up nuclear weapons program? We don't know. Will it agree to peaceful coexistence on the Korean Peninsula? I hope so, but I'm not totally sure about this. The red line is, of course, possession of nuclear weapons is a horrible thing, but more seriously, the serious concern is the proliferation of nuclear warheads and missiles by North Korea. This is really the red line of the international community. 4-party, 6-party talks have stalled, even collapsed. But 5 out of 6, US, South Korea, Japan, China, and Russia, we have two things share. Two things. One, to hold North Korea's nuclear program and achieve a nuclear-free Korean peninsula. And secondly, equally important, to deter proliferation of nuclear warheads and missiles by North Korea. What is the role of China? Maybe Mr. Pang will have to say about this. Is China doing enough what international community is expecting China to do? I think they are doing, addressing this seriously, but again, because of time, I want Obama's important statement, elimination of this horrible nuclear weapons. This was welcomed big way in Japan, and this has to do with this North Korea's nuclear weapons, and Dr. Haynes, he's talking about this extended deterrence and so on and so forth. What is the relation between the notion of extended deterrence of nuclear weapons and Obama's mentioning ultimate elimination of nuclear weapons? He has much to say about this. Thirdly, China's rapid increase of military modernization. What is the problem to the rest of the Asian countries? It's a lack of transparency. Perhaps whatever public figure released by Chinese government, perhaps international observers, experts view that perhaps twice as much or even 3 times as much is the reality. If that is so, already China is the second largest military power in the world. China, it seems to maintain its main strategic direction is east to the open sea. There's a famous story, but this was made at Congress, U.S. Congress. PLA's top-class naval official remark to Admiral Keating, he's in command of U.S. force in the Pacific. He said, this PLA top official said, why don't we, China and the U.S., reach an agreement, you and I. You take Hawaii East, America. We will take Hawaii West. We will share information and we'll save you all the trouble of deploying your naval forces west of Hawaii. This immediately led to my memory of treaty we signed in the year of 1978. The treaty's name is Peace and Friendship Treaty between Japan and China. Main pillar, cause, is anti-hegemony clause. We, China and Japan, is not going to seek hegemony in Asian Pacific. It immediately led me to think this famous, important treaty. Finally, against wind, headwind, Japan is not shining anymore. I'm very much worried about the present situation. Japanese politics, confused. Economic downside is but coupled with that, it seems ungovernability of the whole Japanese political system. We are going to have the general election towards the end of this month. That's why Prime Minister Fukuda was not able to come to Jeju. August 30th, what will happen? Most probably, unless something unexpected happens, the power will go from LDP to Democratic Party of Japan. But my apprehension is that thus we will be able to come up with the kind of two-party, strong-party system contending each other in a healthy way. I hope so, but at the same time I have some apprehension. But look at the other part of the Asia, South Korea, change of the guard from one party to another, Taiwan, look at Australia, look at India, elsewhere. LDP has been long at center. So I welcome the change, but some strong apprehension I have. Already, oh my goodness. Favorable winds, you just mentioned, Chinese economy already on a firm track of recovery. So it's a matter of welcome, providing support for the region's economies to pick up. China, Taiwan moving towards constructive and mutually beneficial relations. This is also a matter of welcome. This is a favorable wind when we think about peace and stability in our part of the world. Better constructive relations between China and Taiwan. Ships, aircraft moving actively. My hunch is that Kimpo Airport, not Incheon. Haneda Airport, not Narita. Hongqiao, downtown airport in Shanghai, not Pudong, which takes more than 1 hour. And what else? Taiwan, Taoyuan, not Taoyuan Airport, but Songshan, right in very close to the center of the city. And Beijing, this airline connections, more active in and going of human people, commodities. This will be a big plus factor for the regional economy. Closer utilization of closer airport among the 4 or 5 countries. Finally, Taiwan, this is something which was not talked about at all today, or even yesterday. But I have a firm belief Taiwan is indeed indispensable, should be, and is an indispensable member of future East Asian Economic Community. He's a big player, big role to play. He's a big investor to South Korea trade transaction between Japan and Taiwan, between mainland Taiwan. You can't simply set aside such a big economic entity like Taiwan when we talk about the future of East Asian Economic Community. North Korea, I'm here to learn about it, so I want to say, finally, very finally, revisiting, I say, the concept of comprehensive security. I think Dr. What is his name? Timo Kimimak, his paper touches briefly upon this. To ensure national security, mere accumulation, missile, warheads, bombers, long missiles, tanks, that alone can't ensure the real security of any state. What is equally important is the national unity. And Dr. Timo says social and economic development, where or not is there a rule of law or democracy. Importantly, democracy includes good rule of democratic transfer of the government, occasional transfer. So these are very strong elements to ensure our national security. I say again, missile, nuclear weapons alone can't ensure the future security of any nation. And this is Timo-san's paper touches upon this. Japan-RKO relations, no, I have not. But anyway, we are the pillars. Japan, South Korea, China, as I said in my question this afternoon, morning, we are the prime movers, drivers to push ahead towards the creation of East Asian economic comes first, economic community. China, Japan, South Korea are the three major pillars. And we have a lot to do more to move towards that goal. Thank you very much. I used 50 minutes. Apologize.
Presentation. I think you raised a lot of, provocative issues here, and we can discuss that one. Even if we delay attending dinner hosted by the governor of Jeju provincial government, we can have further discussions. That's the advantage of being a convener of Jeju Peace Forum. So, me being a convener. Anyhow, General Pan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to say my thanks to the organizer to invite me to attend this very interesting discussion on the multilateral security cooperation in East Asia. And also I want to particularly thank Professor Moon to invite me to become one of the members of this panel for the discussion. But you said that you only give me 5 to 7 minutes. So I try to make the best use of these 7 minutes. But unfortunately, I wrote a paper I think that should be included in this volume. So please refer to my paper, and that saved me a lot. Repeating what has already been said in this article. But I just want to highlight. Oh, but before I talk about this multilateral cooperation in East Asia, I tried today only focus on Northeast Asia, because if we are talk about security matters in East Asia at large, I think it's too complicated. And besides, Northeast Asia and Southeast Asia, in fact, are the two sub-regions which, in fact, have a different kind of characteristics and may have a different agenda for their security as well. So if we talk on East Asia, I think that things would be much complicated, and I don't think that I can exhaust this in a very short period of time. So I just concentrate on Northeast Asia, which, of course, in my understanding, includes the peninsular and the various major players in this region: China, Japan, Russia, and of course, United States as well. Things are not too bad, in fact, as far as the security cooperation in this region is concerned. I think that we see a lot of positive developments, both in bilateral and multilateral ways. We see, in fact, that each nation, they demonstrate an ample kind of political will to work together to address their common problems, which in fact increasingly challenging the security interests of all the nations. And all of these nations seem to understand that no nation, even as powerful as the United States, can single-handedly address these problems. So work together is something that will be a must, whether you like it or not, or whether you still have suspicions in each other or not. These countries must work together. I think that this is a kind of a reality and provide a very important and positive kind of political basis for the cooperation. However, I think that in order to enhance cooperation on the right track, I think that all the nations seem also to be aware that we need a new vision. There is no lack of forums for cooperation in this region. There is no lack of agenda or topics to be discussed on these forums, including Jeju Peace Forum. But what I would like to argue is, provided we have a new vision for cooperation, we are not able to solve major problems if we still be burdened by a Cold War mentality. If we are still burdened by ideological biases, if we are still burdened by a concept that state-to-state relations is just kind of a game of zero-sum nature, one country's rise would be inevitably the loss of the other. So if you still continue to maintain this kind of concept, I think that will be most unfortunate, because you are not going very far in our cooperation. To be quite blunt, that my former speaker from Japan, with my full respect, seems to be indicative of this kind of Cold War mentality. he mentioned about, I don't know where he got a kind of code from a top Navy commander from the POA to indicate that China has a hegemonic ambition to dominate this region with the United States. I cannot imagine that any POA officer could say that. So if you quote this as your basis for the argument for the future problems of security in this region, you set up a false kind of starting point. You poison the atmosphere for cooperation or mutual better understanding. So I think this is most unfortunate that people, and I would say particularly many people in Japan, seem now to be at a loss. As our previous speaker said, now no more shining, and seem to be at a loss viewing the rise of so-called the rise of China. So how to deal with the monster? Economic, yes. They like the money of China, but they don't like the expansion of influence of China in this region. So this is a problem. But I don't like that we would talk about the security cooperation in that light. And China could also pose a lot of things to point a finger to this country and the other. Now let me cite North Korea again. Of course, North Korea should be punished for its wrongdoings. And because of its position, six-party talks now has been deadlocked. But to be quite frank, and if we are really objective, do you imagine only the North Korea who should have the sole responsibility of the failure of six-party talks? Don't you think that the United States also has a share of responsibility for the problems now we are faced with? Don't you think that Japan also has a share of responsibility for this kind of increasing confrontation among states concerned? I do not want to go into details, but if we are going to the debate, I'll be happy to participate in this. But to make a long story short, as the Chinese government always emphasized, that in order to solve the nuclear issue in the peninsula,